can't you?
Oh yeah, yeah. How have you been?
Good. That's where I'm late, so about half 4 my time, 5 o'clock
Fucking
English
hell.
time it was done.
Yeah. It was a good game though. It was a good
Yeah,
final, wasn't it?
yeah, the final was amazing, mate. Amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Nine data. Finally got one, didn't
Yeah, yeah, it was tough.
he?
It
Yeah,
was really black. We went, it got in and he did go, delayed reaction.
yeah, yeah. What time is it over there? Now is it a bit quieter? Obviously, this is take two in it for people who won't know, but this is our
Yeah,
second attempt.
it is. Yeah, so it's just gone 3, nearly.
Yeah, yeah. And obviously, we know we've had a little chat last night, didn't we, when we did this trial run? But obviously, for the people who don't know, we'll get into where you are in your story. But it's Delhi, isn't it? You're in now,
Not me, Danny, but the
New Delhi.
local. Yeah, but it's part
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think we'll start off with first what it is you're doing, this trip that you've decided that you're doing, and sort of where you started and where you're hoping to finish off, and some of the
yeah,
places you've been along the way. So take it away, Matt.
yeah, yeah. So for my own time, as well, Wigan, or do you class yourself as inland, mate?
No, well, Wigan's Wigan, isn't it?
Yeah, so we're going to go from Wigan, England to Wigan in the Philippines. Originally, we're going to go through about 17 countries, but things have happened along the way where we can't do. And it basically came from, I was going through a stage in my life, I wasn't going anywhere. And, it's up, pick up on there. So, and needed to do something for myself and get out there. I came up with, I basically looked at stuff where I can get away and do something for my own mental health. I was under depression as well. So I thought, right, what can I do? So I looked online. I've always wanted to travel, obviously, uh, followed travel YouTubers and things like that. But I just never had that opportunity to do this. So I thought, right, what can I do? And at first I was going to walk the Hadrian's Wall. I thought that would be over in 2 weeks. Then I was going to go around the British Isles. But I thought 4 months' time I'll be back and I'll still be at the same spot as what I was. So I thought, right, what can I do? So I typed in uh, long travel into Google, and I saw a guy who walked from Cardiff, Wales to Cardiff in. He walked it. I was backpacking, so he walked from Cardiff and Wales to Cardiff in Australia. So I typed in Wigan on the internet, and 3 places come up: Wigan, what we know of in England, Wigan in Philippines, and Wigan in Canada. And I thought, I can't swim the Pacific, so I thought, all
No.
right, yeah, so Wigan, Philippines it is, and also it was longer to get there as well. So yeah, so I did that, looked at it, and I thought, right, why not pick my route? Didn't want to go near any war zones or mess about with visas, like going through Afghanistan and Ghana and Russia and what have you. So I thought, right, let's take the sun. So yeah, it's safe, and then along the equator, basically.
Lovely. I mean, you can't really argue for a trip like that. I mean, it's not been all plain sailing, has it? Especially with visas
No,
and
mate,
things like that. For those
no.
who might not have come across you, I found you on TikTok with your coalpittococonut account, which is a great name. And obviously, I know you've got a little anecdote about that, so I'll let you tell that story in a second. But yeah, it's such a mammoth thing what you've taken on, and obviously you're doing it all for Andy's Man Club as well, which
Yeah,
we'll touch on a little
yeah,
later on. But yeah, do you wanna tell us how you come up with the name Coalpit to
yeah.
Coconut? Because
So,
I love that name, mate. I think it's great.
excuse me. So lots of people ask me where Corpix coconut comes up. It's one of the regular things they answer on messages. They've done the odd video on it. People, everybody don't see it. They're Corpix coconut. For the ones who blog me journey, the ups and the downs of everything. Up points, times I felt like giving up and coming home. I wanted the handle to be the same across uh, every single social media platform. So I think I'm just going to use Chris Woodward, but the name's taken on multiple platforms. Then I was looking at family and friends. And the sister she came up with, I was the Wigan Wanderer, but then I thought, no, this won't be good for obvious reasons. And then um, I looked at what was the other one? Where's Wood? As in like Where's Wallet? My sister came up with that. But again, that was taken. So I thought every single name I kept coming up with, something was taken. So I went onto Gemini and I told them who I am, what my age is, where I'm from, where I'm going, a brief description of what I want, blah, blah, blah. And then it come up with loads of different handles, names for the account. And I kept refreshing, didn't like them, or they sounded weird. Anyway, I see one, call picture coconut, and then when I clicked on it, and it gives the the reason why it gave it, and it said Wigan was an old research place. Wigan in England was an old heritage coal mining town, and then there is plenty of coconuts in Philippines. So from the coal pits of Wigan to drinking, rum out of a coconut in the Philippines. So I like
And I
it,
imagine, yeah,
yeah, it was capture. I looked on the internet and there was nobody. I think I went to Google and I thought, and the only thing was that only thing we're getting was how to people coconut, and stuff like that. So I thought Belton.
yeah,
So every single one was
found it,
favourite.
finally found the one.
Yeah, snapped them up, and that's where the name comes from, basically. And I just like the
Yeah.
name. It was capture. A few
Yeah, it
people have
definitely is. It
gone,
definitely rings a
yeah,
bell. Like
yeah,
when you see it, it catches your eye.
and it sticks in people's head as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And I imagine that rum-filled coconut at the end will taste very good once you get
Well, I
there.
think only problem is, mate, I don't drink spirit, so
You'll have to have a sparkling water in it or
yeah.
something, make it still get the water for it for the content. But yeah, so obviously we spoke last night and I have followed your journey, and I'm sort of in awe of what you're doing, and I think it's amazing. And obviously with your background and your personal journey, which you've touched on with me slightly, I think it was such a courageous and ballsy thing to because you sold everything, didn't you? You
Yeah,
essentially
yeah,
packed up your
yeah,
life, sold everything, give up
yeah,
your flat, and just thought, fuck it, this is what I'm doing, this is
yeah,
what I need to do.
yeah.
So
The whole lot went.
where did that come about? Like obviously, feel free to share what you want, but
Yeah.
obviously a bit
So,
about your background and how you came to this decision.
so, so uh, before all this was even decided, and just went through some few different events in my life, and I wasn't happy with myself, and I was just I couldn't keep employment from what was going on. I was drinking heavily. I was locking myself inside, and pretending everything would be okay. If I lost the job, I'd get another one. And my parents would say, Chris, you need to go and see a doctor. Went seeing a doctor, they signed me off because under depression and anxiety. But then from that, I didn't want to seek any more help. So I was still in the same position, just being signed off work. And I was just locking myself in my flat. I weren't wanting to speak to anybody. If anybody came round, I'd be turning my lights off, turning my TV off so they couldn't see flickering, knocking on my door, knocking on the window. Phone would be turned off. I weren't drinking, what I should be. I weren't eating. There were people coming round. If the window was open, I didn't know. There were people coming round and dropping food through the window, buses, what they said. Can you hear that banging? Sorry, mate.
Oh, don't worry about that.
Yeah, so from that then, I was just going Whitsunworth and downhill. I think after the final period where it was about 2 weeks, my mum came round with my stepdad Mark, and they both basically just said, "Listen, you need to go and seek further help." I thought, you know what, I'm just going to end up, and I didn't want to be here, Jack. It got to the point where I just didn't want to be here on a. This is how bad I got. I just felt myself going down and down, and I just felt like ending my life. Never attempted to, but the way I was feeling, and I just didn't want to be here, mate. But we'll move on because I don't want to,
Yeah,
spend the
yeah,
next few
no, I
months about, oh,
appreciate you sharing that. So, like, obviously coming from that and that journey,
yeah.
like, what was the inspiration to, finally do something about it? Because you clearly have,
So,
you're on this
yeah,
journey now. You've made this thing about it. So, I'd love to hear what was the catalyst to that.
so the thing what probably affects me as well as my family. My brother's mentioned a couple of his mates had been to Andy's Man Club, and he'd made contact with him from a guy's a facilitator there. And he said, "Go down." And my family said, "I've got." So the first Monday come, and I was wicking myself up because I'd been locking myself in. And I said, "Yeah, I'll go." And I never went. I just locked myself in again. I was too embarrassed to go speak to people in front of the large group about the problem. Thinking I'm all right. I pulled myself through it. And then the week after again, people were like, "Are you going?" Yeah, I'll go. And 3 weeks on truck, I never went. And let myself down. And then the fourth week on the Monday, I never told anybody I was going. Didn't even mention it to anybody. And then that Monday night, I just went down, and it was the best thing we ever did. We could get us in the bar, and it is when you first go in there, it is. Uh, you know, there could be 50, 60 blokes in there, but every single person in that room is under the same, everybody suffers just as much as what you have, and
Yeah.
nobody judges, nobody, gives any bad advice. It's absolutely one of the best things they ever did. And thank God for Andy's Man Club, because if it wasn't for them and my family, I might not be today speaking to you doing this.
Yeah, mate, it's a beautiful thing to hear, that there's a support group out there, especially for men, because obviously I've been through things similar myself, like been on antidepressants, things like that. There's definitely there's a there's a feeling of it, isn't there, that when you're a man, that you shouldn't feel this way, you should be tougher, you shouldn't be feeling like this because you are a man. And I was speaking to someone about it once, and it's probably one of the best things I've heard, and it stuck with me forever. Is that there's this misconception that men don't want to talk about it, when in
Exactly,
reality men do want to talk about it. They just never feel like they have a safe space to do so. And I think that's why I've never been involved with Andy's Man Club, but it's definitely something that I follow quite closely. And obviously seeing what you do for them now, and this charity, this fundraising that you're doing based on this trip, it's beautiful. And to hear your story, you've come through, I think it's a prime example of how important something like this is, especially for men, and the change it can have. Because
yeah.
I mean, the I know a bits about your story, but like I remember you telling me yesterday about how nervous you was about going on the trip, and yet you still stuck to it. And do you think the accountability of doing it for Andy's Man Club sort of kept you on track a little bit, providing back for that thing?
Yeah, quick recap on Andy's Man Club, just with regards to when you said it, men suffer from it, but they feel like they can't talk about it. They've got to be the strong person, they've got to keep it up here, they don't want to be seen as weak or what have you. Andy's Man Club in Wigan, like when I was going there, they just had just one at the Brick Stadium, and now they've got three. They've got one in Standish, one at Wigan Cricket Club, and also the main one at Wigan. So the fact that they've gone from one to three, just in Wigan on and the nationwide, it just shows that it's working, and it's an amazing thing out there.
Especially where we're from, because where we're from, there's definitely this old school vibe of like I say, you're a miner, you're a rugby player, you're a football player, you're an hard northerner. You can't feel these emotions and show these weaknesses, because that's not the way you're built. But we all suffer from it, and obviously having you on the podcast, and I'm so thankful that you shared your story and shared that other people have been through it, and you come out the end of it. Go on.
Do you mind if I just give a quick 3 minute what was on Andy's Man Club, in case anyone's listening and they want to go?
Yeah, fire away, mate, definitely.
So Andy's Man Club are under Andy's Man Club and all social media, and basically you go there. It's support for anyone who has mental health or depression. There are non-judging society. You can go there and you don't even have to talk. Basically, you go there, you pass the ball around. When you get the ball, first time, you just introduce yourself. You just say as little as much as you want. Basically, say your name, whether it's your first time or your fifth time, or you've been going a year around this Man Club. Then once you've done that, so you break up into a group of 5, 6, 7, and then you answer 5 questions. 3 questions will be how's your week been, what's a positive, what's a negative, and then the other 2 questions will be just to break it up, because it might get a bit deep and meaningful. Then the second 2 questions will be like, what's your favourite food, what's your favourite film, and then that's it. To release, you don't have to open up, but the way I felt after coming out for the first time, you feel like you're walking on earth. It is not for everybody, and some people don't return. Some people come once, they see them. Other people have been going 2, 3 years since it first started opening, and a lot of people say it's a weekly reset. And for me, whenever I'm back, even though whether I'm feeling good or bad, I'll still attend, as and when I can.
Yeah, brilliant, Matt.
Okay, so that's that done. Great, sorry. I just want to give a
Don't worry
quick
about it,
gist
mate.
on it.
It's good for ear. It's good for ear the insight to it and what it does, and like you said there, it's a reset for people. How many times do you feel you have the opportunity to reflect on something, and how important has that been for you? For sort of develop that skill of reflecting on what's been positive and been negative in your week, because I think reflection is something that we don't really get told what to do or do with it, but once you start looking back on these things, you realise there's a lot more positives that are going on. Obviously, there's always negatives, but we always look for the negatives in life, don't we? So when you actually ask to look for positives, it makes a massive difference, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Agreed. Yeah, like I said before, if it worked for them and my family, I wouldn't have been here and I wouldn't have been on this journey. And this is why I'm raising money for them. I think so far we've got £720, I think it is so far. I'm aiming to get 2.5. But it's not the money raising side of it really. It's more raising awareness for Andy's Man Club. That's why I was starting the video. What day I'm raising money for Andy's Man Club. And I always said when I first started, if I can help one person on this journey, or whether they just to attend Andy's Man Club or just speak to me, see a thing. And I have had people speaking to me. Some have attended. Some people just message me through things and on a daily basis, and we have conversations, about how they're feeling and that. And it makes me feel good to know that I've got the word out there for Andy's Man Club, and I can give them credit for attending, and not credit to me, sorry, credit to Andy's Man Club and saying, listen, there's help out there, go and seek it, and I can give my own personal experience and tell them what it's like and what it's about, and it's not just some place that you think you're being judged or what have you. You know what I mean?
Well, hell of an ambassador, mate, to sort of give your story and what you've done, and the way you've sort of flipped your life, from not going out, keeping yourself reclused indoors, and now you're backpacking across the world.
Yeah,
you've been.
There you go.
How long have you been on the journey now? So when did you first start it?
So I first set out the 15th of September, and then I went to I did France, Switzerland, Italy, Vatican City, Greece, a couple of Greek islands, and then Turkey. And halfway through Turkey, I had to come home because my uncle passed away just before I went. He never left a will, so we had to start some legal documents. And then, and then I thought, you know what, why I'm here? Deadline passed for that. I'm here. I might as well stay for Christmas and New Year. And then he headed back out on, 13th of January. And so today is day 128, I think it is, or 27. I can't remember exactly.
And how was that when you went home? Obviously, you said you had personal reasons, family reasons that you had to come home. But how did it feel to be back, off the journey? Was you eager to get back into it? Did you feel that sort of sense of, I want to complete this?
Yeah. So there's times when I'm travelling, sometimes, I don't like picking up the phone and recording, or doing daily vlogs and uploading. Just sometimes there's nothing to record. Sometimes, on the journey, I felt like, I just want some time for myself because different scenarios might crop up, make sports and things like that. And I have struggles on this journey where I've needed Andy's Man Club, and I've been speaking to the lads over the phone, which we'll go into later. But yeah, when I went back home, I knew I had to go home. I didn't want to go, but obviously family reasons. And then I realised when I was back home, I was slipping back into my old self again because I weren't doing anything, I was just like lying in again, going to bed at stupid times, drinking again, and it was just like, what's going on? So then I was glad to come back out, but then as we mentioned last night, the ways I did come out, the nerves were just crazy. I was nervous the first time I set out, but the second time, man, it was just, like I said to you, it was like getting married for the first time, or having your first child, or going for an interview, but 10 times worse. And I was on the bus from my mum's house in Newtown to John Lennon Airport, straight away off. I was threw up everywhere in front of everyone. I'm not saying nervous to work, and I was like, what am I doing? And then I was speaking to my parents saying, listen, and I was so nervous to get on the plane. I was like, I might have to come back home. But then that journey out here was from leaving my mum's to getting in my hotel was 55 hours. That was four planes from Liverpool to Hungary, Budapest to Ridja in Saudi Arabia to Dubai, and then Dubai to Colombo in Sri Lanka. And then there were 2 15-hour layovers in, and I was sleeping on to save money. Because I did this, I could have gone direct, but it would have been £400 or £500, and I got this flight for £176, I thought. But saves me money. I know it is a long time. Sleeping on Earth.
Well, it's a lot of money for a save.
Yeah, massively, mate. But sleeping on Earth floors is, when I got there, I jumped in a tuk-tuk, which is like an auto. I don't know if you know what a tuk-tuk is. It's like a
Yeah, I've seen
three-wheel.
them. Yeah,
Yeah. So I jumped in that, and when I was in Sri Lanka, and I just rang my mum, and I just burst into tears. And I thought, if I turn back to missing all this now, and I'm so stuck with myself that I made it, and I did it,
yeah,
and I
man.
don't know why. I don't know why. I just worked through. I don't know if it was because I believe in the comfort of my home. I didn't know whether
Yeah,
it was going forward. It was a strange feeling. But then straight words, like I said, straight words are going there. I was so stuck with myself that I did it, and I carried on the journey. Uh, and just made it. And I felt like that again. I normally get it when because I get cooked in a country. Like when I before I came to India, I was nervous,
yeah,
but it was easier because it was easier the first time. But then I'm going to Thailand now. I'm flying 3 days, and I feel nervous again. But I don't know why. See, I just get it going to a new country all the time.
yeah. And I imagine like you should be proud of yourself, mate, because like you've alluded to and you've mentioned, like it would have been so easy for you to just be like, oh, there's an excuse here, I can stay, I don't need to go back. But
Yeah, that's how easy
you've
it would
had
have
that.
been.
Yeah, you actually could have been like, I've come back now, I tried it, and then I've just decided that it wasn't for me. But you've persevered, you've done it, and I think it's brilliant, mate. And it takes a lot of balls. I mean, leaving anything and just coming to a land where it's completely different culture, it's completely different vibe. How's that been? What's been sort of the biggest cultural differences and sort of the biggest struggles you've had coming in? Because us Wiganers, we're not easiest to understand at best of times, even at UK. So
Yeah,
if you go somewhere like India or Thailand, I imagine it's even worse.
yeah. So luckily, majority of the countries I've been to, the majority of people could speak English, but then if not, there's always Google Translate. But I try not to. I try and do hand accents and, get my way that way. Only I have to, I need help. But yeah, so Europe itself wasn't too bad, because there's not much cultural difference there. But then switching to Sri Lanka, it was like, wow. I've never been to Asia before, never been into Europe before, until like Turkey's a border in it, Asia. But then
Yeah,
straight
yeah,
with it, Sri Lanka, it was like, wow, man, it's a whole other world. Everything just operates different from the carnage to, like, on your phone. If I'm on phone to you now, the people just come stand at the back of me and just start looking at you. Like, I could be chatting to my mum or my sister or my mates or whatever. And they'll just,
yeah,
especially if it's they're a woman, they'll just come and stand at the back of you. Once there's one, they'll all come and they'll all just be looking at you talking
yeah,
because
yeah,
because it's like they don't understand the Western voice.
yeah, yeah.
Just naturally inquisitive, and you're like, if you did this back in Europe, whatever, be like, go away, will you? You know what I mean? You just
Yeah,
get
someone
used
to
to it.
punch it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, yeah. It was a bit of a cultural shock at first, uh, but you get used to it, and like the tipping of the arms and how many people there are walking about and things like that. Eventually, I've seen plenty of YouTubers go and they said, this is not for me, I can't. But it's like living next door to a railway line or on a main road. Eventually you get used to you can sleep at night. And there's
Yeah.
always something going on over here, you know what I mean? People, it's like
Mm.
24/7. You can go out and you can get food, you do whatever at any point. It's like, you like to whatever, sleep Delhi and Mumbai. Something always going on.
Well, I mean, last night when we was on, I mean, we it was like what 1 in the morning for you. That's why we planned it because we thought it'd be quiet,
Yeah,
didn't we? And then, like you said, about 40 people coming playing a board
yeah,
game, and it was absolute
yeah.
carnage. I mean, it's. I'm so interested in to sort of see like what do you think you've learned from being in these different cultures? Because we're very much a product of our environment, aren't we? And when where we're from, especially, we talked about it before. We touched on it lightly about the way you're meant to feel and how you act and the sort of stereotypes in these where we're from. What is sort of the things you've learned from different cultures, and what are you going to take away from it and be like, you know what? Actually, there's more to it than this, and you'd have never seen it without being in certain places.
Yeah, I think the biggest one is no matter where you travel in the world, everybody is exactly the same. Um, you get the ones who are trying to get the money out you and see you tourists, but the majority of people, they just want to know what your name is, where you're from, what you're doing over here, how long you've been there. They just think naturally inquisitive. But it's different cultures, like my first problem was probably when I landed in Bouvet and I went to Paris. I couldn't look out the metro system. I couldn't even find English to talk about it. I asked the guy what and he said, You were from England, you were now in Paris. you could learn French, speak French. And I'm like, but you're here to help. You're working here, so can you help me? No, you should learn French. I was like, wow, okay. You know, and it was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
wow, geez, man. You know, I thought, and anyway, this other guy come up to me and said, ignoring me is rude. You know, and they helped me. I said, cheers, mate. Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
yeah.
But inside, just back in Paris, rest of Europe, no issues whatsoever. And then, sorry, apart from when I hit Geneva in Switzerland, this was the first biggest one, and I got robbed of about 50 pounds, 55 pounds from two Romanian homeless people because I was stood talking to them, and I had my back because through Europe I camped, saved money mainly on beaches and stuff. Whereas over in Asia, it's cheap enough and staying in hostels. So I had a big backpack on my back, well, it weighed about 17 kilograms. My front pack had about 5 kilograms. So as I'm talking, I put my big pack back down, one at side pocket. As I'm talking to the husband, the wife reaches through the stuff, but he's keeping me. So I'm not hearing. Anyway, he's just roughly turned round, nicking some clothes, and when I looked, some money's gone as well. The guy was a big guy, but you know what? I'm in a foreign country. I don't want to be
Yeah, yeah.
tackling him. So I just walked off.
No,
And I
no.
thought, it's a lot. It's a lot. That one broke me. That one absolutely broke me, and I nearly give up at that point. Booked a train ticket to airport. I got on the airport, and I thought, what am I doing? Speaking to people, and then this was kind of. I uploaded a video where I was upset, and this was like the main one what gained a bit of traction, and then that's where the support come from that, and this is what I must have been away for about 24 hours, couldn't sleep. It was doing an hour what to do, and then the support was coming through. It was like, wow, you know what? Yeah, and that's what inspired me just to carry on and get out I just got into Switzerland, into Italy, and on we went. Uh, but yeah, then I run into you know, these are just a few bad points. The majority of stuff is good. You know, it's been a laugh along the way. I've seen some beautiful
Yeah.
things I never thought I'd seen in my life, like, you know, the Colosseum, the Acropolis in Italy, where my mum comes join me for 5 days, the Eiffel Tower, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, you know, many other things. Absolutely amazing. I've always wanted to see these places and the thought of living there.
Mm.
But
That's
when,
brilliant, man.
when Asia, it was it's just so much as a Westerner, because our money's a lot higher. It's so cheap to be out here. You know,
Yeah.
you place and staying there, £3 a night and an hostel. The food is so cheap. Now, if you go to the food places, they will skin you alive. But if you know what you're doing and where you're going, you know, like I travel 23 hours on a train from Mumbai to Delhi, and it cost me £6. You know, this is not happening anywhere in Europe or anything like that.
I saw that video you put on of the train station, and that was absolutely insane.
Yeah,
That was
yeah, that was
that was
Delhi. Yeah.
mental. Yeah, yeah.
So what happened there is they had them barriers going through because there was a massive religious festival on here just outside of Varanasi.
Hmm.
Right, the back end of last month, and when they were queuing up here, they were all queuing up to get the trains, but they all wanted a good seat. And I think it was 7 adults and 5 kids, or 6 kids, were trampled to death. So this is why they put them barriers in, because it was just a free for all.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's to happen. It's just like pretty sad, isn't it? You know. I don't know. It's obviously a lot better, but they're all running to get through where they need to go.
Yeah, yeah. And like you know, when you're going through these places, I've spoken to friends who have been away and things like that. You know, does it make you appreciate sort of where we're from and the lives we lead when you see these, you know, the beautiful places, but they're so chaotic, aren't there? There's a lot of poverty in these places as well.
Yeah. For me, if I said to local people, if I could live in India, I would do. But obviously, you know, coming from where we are, I think they know what they've got, and same in England. You know, if you are on benefits in England and you're poor or you're on the streets, whatever, if you come to India with the money that you get, you'll be a rich man.
Yeah.
It's basically there's no change. But like in here in India, for instance, they've got a caste system, and it's basically it's a bit like middle class, upper class, working class in England. But here it's stringent. And
Mm.
when I first heard about his caste system, my guy was talking to me, and he was collecting. You know, he had a couple of rags on him, no shoes, and he had where he collects plastic bottles in, and he gets 15 rupees for 1 kilogram, and this is all he does all day so he can feed himself. And this guy came over to him, who was an Irish, and he kicked his leg, marked him out, wiped him out and knocked him to the floor. And I picked him up and said, "Whoa, what are you doing?" He said, "Do not speak to him. He's low caste." And I'm like, "Wow, hang on a minute." And this is and I'm like, to me, everybody in India is the same, whether you're a billionaire or you live on the streets. Same
Yeah.
back in England. Don't judge people. Don't judge a book by its cover. And I was shocked. I was like, "Wow." And he was going, "Do you not talk to him?" And he was pushing me away. And I was like, "Wow, this is crazy." All because he's a lower
Mm.
caste than him. But then someone else had said, "Oh, don't speak to any of them two because they're lower caste." And it's just a real environment to, but from part of the younger generation, this is that gradually working its way out. It's like an older generation thing. But yeah, that was
Yeah.
one culture shock. Surprised me.
Yeah, so I mean, to be fair, like you said, it's a completely different world, and I imagine you sort of you see the good, the bad, and the ugly. I know you've had some close run-ins and some close shaves yourself, like when with being about and being out there. But I mean, the positives you said there is that it really seems like everyone is just the majority of people just want to know about you and just want to meet you and like chat.
Yeah, it's the exact same as a tourist coming into London, jump in a black cab. They'll say, because they don't know the area, then they want to go somewhere, and that, this person could drive you. I'm not saying everybody, I'm saying 90% of people are good, you just get the other one, see a foreigner, and they think, right, we'll take them the long way
Yeah.
around, or not put the meter on and charge them, get them out. It's a joke, really, but, it does happen. But as long as you keep your wits about you, and people think, "Oh, I won't come to India, it's smelly, Solanke, it's smelly, there's people trying to scam you all the time because they think a telephone call, you know what I mean? And there is people out there trying to do. But you walk along the street at night. I threw a slum earlier, and I've never had one issue. I've had issues of people from if you're going, they try and charge you extra for a meal in a bar, or they try and charge
Yeah.
you extra. If you want to buy a bottle of water, they'll say 20 rupees, and in India they've got MRP, which means maximum retail price. So they'll have a little print or on the sticker, it'll say maximum 20 rupees, they'll say 40 rupees. And then it's go, no, MRP, and they look at you like, as in, how do you know that? You know what I mean? So this
Yeah,
is, and
yeah.
that's any food, any drink, what you buy is an MRP. So, if you're ever in India. But yeah, India is an amazing country. It's my favourite country I've been through so far. I definitely come back here again. It's not like people think, there are areas, what a slum areas, and there's rubbish
Yeah, of
everywhere.
course.
I'm not going to eat the street food here because I won't get sick. They're dealing it with their own hands.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no hygiene here really. But if you avoid them, you can eat in cafes. If you go with the locals, they don't drink the egg.
Yeah.
Avoid the grotty areas. Which you can tell, if you're in England and you walk down the street and you don't know it's dodgy, you just don't go.
Yeah.
Look after yourself and you're fine.
Mm.
People do come over to you if they want to know that. Someone will come over and same to answer, someone will come over and say, "Can I have a picture with you?" Yeah, yeah, no problem. Then you'll have a queue, your people queuing up.
Yeah, yeah.
People queuing up and saying, "Can I have a picture with you?" Yeah, come on, brother, come on. Sometimes they're for 5 minutes taking selfies with different people. They just want to know who you are, why you're here, how long you've been here, what do you think of India. Because you don't get that many foreigners over.
No, no. What I'm sort of interested, if you don't mind me asking, is what does your average day look like? You're in your hostel, you've got all this time for explore and stuff. What do you
Yeah.
have like a routine of what you do? Is the things that you do you pre-plan what you're gonna do when you're at different places, or
No.
is it like finger in
Oh,
the air and just go with the flow?
yeah. So this entire journey, people say you need to plan what you're doing. And the only thing I planned is that I was going Wigan to Wigan. These were the countries we're going through. The one rule was is don't use a plane if you can't get one. So then when I get to these countries, I obviously pick out what I want to see, like tourist-wise, seeing the big monuments, temples, leaning tower of Pisa or the Acropolis, depending on where I am, or what's in that area at the time. And then from there, I just wake up in the morning. But my favourite thing is not going seeing the attractions, the tourist things. I like going to the areas where the locals are, where no other
Yeah,
white man has ever been before, and just getting
yeah,
to
yeah,
interact with them. It makes good footage. I love it. Some days I can go out and got this burgers and this guy who has a little stores of cigarettes, hot water, biscuits, random stuff. And I was sat there for 6 hours talking with them. I was sat there and there was a bus stop in front, and I just sat there all 6 hours just yapping to people all day. It was brilliant.
class.
And then And then you just end up in different situations like uh, there was this attraction for a local. It was like 20 rupees to get in. For me, they wanted £8, and I thought, you know what? For £8, there's nothing for the foreigner price. There's nothing much in there. So I said, you three go in, because there were three Indians in Delhi where I was. So you three go in, I'll wait here. We'll meet you back here at 5. So that was an hour and a half. Anyway, so I went walking around this market area, and it was full of, it was a Muslim area, and I went in, they're all looking at me. And they was like, oh, you know, why are you round here? I said, I'm just coming for loot, mate. I was going to go to the tomb, explain. But I only had 500 rupees on me, which is like a fiver. And died, they put like a couple of things, only 10 rupees, and no one had change at all. Anyway, these two Muslim lads pulled up, hello, salam alaikum, you know. And they said, what you after? I said, I'm after chai. Oh, come. I said, no one can change. Anyway, they bought me chai, and it's like a gingerbread. I can't remember the name of it. What you dip in your tea, like basically dipping a biscuit in a tea, and then they sat chatting with me. And it was Ramadan at the time, and they ended that day, and they said it was about, they finished at 6 o'clock, and they said, I've known these guys for about 15 minutes, and they said, would you like to come to our house with our family and break Ramadan with us? You know, and I thought, you don't know who I am at all. You know, if they say they weren't dodgy, you just get that vibe off them. And I said, you know what, if I weren't meeting my mates at 5 o'clock, I would more than happy shoot the ram so many times saying thank you. And there's stuff like this where you end up all the time. And this is every day, you always get someone, but you do get people trying to take advantage. Come, I'll show you how big you get. But the majority of people are just inquisitive, and they'll invite you into the race. They'll give you the food. They'll do as much as they can for you and never expect anything in return. Even if you offer money, they'll just say, no. And these are the genuine people who you will meet in India and Sri Lanka and, you know, even Europe as well.
Yeah. You just summed it up beautiful though. You said like genuine, and I think it's, for me, it's like it's dead wholesome to hear that you know, that if people are just people, and that they're you know, and you just remove all sort of the shit that you hear and everything that's fed into us or fed into other people, and at the end of the day, most people just want to be nice to other people. And imagine that's been so class for sea.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I'm hoping all the way through Asia. So I've got, well, we can go on to that later. But I don't know if you've seen the videos of the Halloween Festival, the celebration of colour.
Oh, is that the one when you got colour bombed?
Yeah. So that's that one, yeah. Basically, that started the Thursday night, and we went down there to set up a bonfire. And this is like getting rid of all the negative energy. And we come back 10 a.m. in the morning. So 10 a.m. I went back, and I was out with them till probably about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, going round to different temples. And it was just, you know, brilliant day. Probably the best day I've had since I set out from England. It was absolutely amazing.
So I wanna pick up on as well. Obviously, you're filming this journey, you're documenting it. You've mentioned that some days you feel like there's nothing to talk about. Some days you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
How's that been? You know, I know, speaking to you, just the brief interactions we've had in person and sort of texting and that. You know, you're big into sort of your travel vloggers, bloggers, that sort of thing. How was that to first, you know, pick up the camera and, well, just, you know, expose your story, like put yourself out there? How did that feel?
So originally I wasn't going to document it at all, and I just thought, you know what, why not? Because I just wanted, it was more for get the word out there from this man club, and I'm also, and I'm like the back of it was open. I knew I never didn't have enough money to complete this journey. I'm hoping that people would enjoy the videos and then eventually, you know, get monetized somewhere or someplace and travel out on the journey. But people have been so good on buying me a coffee. You know, they donate. I've had over like $1,000 donated on there to help me on my travel, accommodation, my food. So if these people didn't enjoy watching, they wouldn't donate. So that spurs me on doing that, and just nice comments I get and the messages I get off people saying we're loving your videos. You know what I mean? You do get the odd bad ones, but you just
but there's pricks everywhere, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like you said, there's always a minority.
I didn't know we could swear in here, mate. So, but
that's fine. That's fine. But yeah, well, we can say a few swear words, but that's the case. You see it all the time. People have so much negativity.
Yeah. And it does get to me because mentally wise, and I think that you know, I really this person thinks that I know I'm doing something wrong, but now I just don't let it get to me. And my brother said record the ups and the downs. recorded, uh, all the ups and also all the downs when crying on camera.
Yeah.
Deleted that video, and re-uploaded it, and then seen it. Oh, now technically embarrassed. And then when I
Yeah.
finally left on, I'm glad I did, because it just showed the bad side of anxiety and depression, and and things that got people
You
could
can
come through.
connect to it because it's so real, mate. And I think a lot of people, when they do find you and they do see you, myself included, you can connect to the authenticity of it
Yeah,
because you are showing every aspect of it. You've not got any agenda other than what you're trying to do for, this great
yeah.
cause and Andy's Man Club. You're doing something for yourself. So yeah, I'm all for it, mate. I'm a big fan of yours and what you're doing, and I definitely think keep doing what you're doing and get it out there because like when you're done and you look back, you've got all this that reflect on, and like you was talking before about when you got to Andy's Man Club and they ask you about negatives and positives. If you're having one of them days where them negatives are there, imagine how good it's going to be when you can reflect on like
Yeah.
the festival when you got the colour bombed and it was like the best day you was out there. That's just going to be such motivation. And then, like I said, you mentioned before about wanting for help just one person, and I can definitely imagine it's going to be the case. It's inspiring. So definitely keep cracking on with it, mate.
Going back to your original question, Jack, when I left there, like I said, like you mentioned, booted a lot. I pulled everything. I did 5 car boots. I pulled all my fishing tackle. I gave up my home. So now I'm jobless. I'm homeless. And, and then just to fund this trip, just to get 80, I sold absolutely everything. Uh, and then with the donations as well. But all I had when I came here to record was headphones, got 2 mobile phones. A mobile phone I had to buy because I went swimming with it to an island and got it water damaged. So this one broke, got it repaired, and a gimbal, and that was it, mate. That's all I ever recorded. Used the internet for upload. And if anyone ever wants to say, oh, I wish I could do that, but I've not got all the recording equipment. A mobile phone, you don't even need a gimbal, mate. I only use that for stabiliser. All you need is a
Yeah,
mobile phone itself. And it was weird at first coming out recording yourself because people are looking at you going, and you think, oh, God, they're looking. So you put your phone down, then you wait till there's no one about. But no, fly down the street and you just don't notice anybody else. You just concentrate on yourself, where you're going, and sit back there. You just don't bother, like, you know what I mean? People will say,
yeah,
oh, YouTube, yeah, you're okay, come on. Can I have a picture with you? You're not thinking you're famous. I'm like, no, very small. But
yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
just make you laugh. But now it's just like, you just got, I'm sure with you when you first did your podcast, you was probably a bit nervous, but now, it's like natural to you.
Yeah, I still get nervous now, mate. Like
Yeah,
especially meeting new people, and you wanna do well and things, and you
yeah,
wanna like for you, like I feel sort of just wanna spread what you're doing, give you a good opportunity for see some new people. Maybe they can get you a
yeah.
coffee and sort you out a little bit because I think I'm a massive fan of what you're doing, and I think it's amazing. And
Thank you, I
I feel
appreciate it.
I feel them nerves. You almost feel a responsibility, which I can imagine you feel as well when you're promoting your message and what your goal is on there. But something you touched on before, and we did say about there's always negative, and there's for lack of a better term, there's always a few pricks knocking around. But how you said when you first started uploading things, you got them negative comments, and then you persisted, and now you don't really see them so much. How does that feel like a big step in the right direction for sort of this journey for you and your personal development?
Yeah, massively. It's just, you know, when you're in that frame of mind already, and you're down, and you don't want to speak to people, and then you get such nice comments, and it spurs you on, then you'll just get one person who'll come out with a load of crap. You know what I mean? You read it and you think, is this, am I right in doing this? Is this how people view it? But you've got to remember there's
Mm,
trolls online. But you don't think about that when you're reading stuff like this, and it can. Some people just pass it off pass it off like a fire, but others, which I used to do, not anymore. I used to get to me, and I shouldn't let it get to me. But it's
mm,
crazy how your mind works depending on how you're feeling.
yeah.
Sometimes these things just
And like
do
you
get to
said
me.
there, you had all these positive comments, and then just that one tiny one just
Yeah,
derails you. And I've experienced that myself. And a massive thing with me was sort of trying to put myself in that person's shoes and being like, how sort of miserable must they be for
yeah,
take time out of the
exactly.
day for shit on someone who's doing
Yeah,
something just trying to better themselves, even obviously nothing to the magnitude of which you're doing, which is massive and so impressive. Even just like people who put a TikTok on of having a laugh with their mates and people just want to tear them down. And I think for me, it's probably the best thing I did was get behind the
Yeah,
camera and just sort of
yeah,
put that down, because you find that most people, the ones that do kick off and, put horrible things on, they forget about you after 10 minutes because they've moved on to
yeah,
the next person who they
yeah,
can give shit to. But
yeah,
then once you build these followers,
yeah,
people, this
yeah,
community that you have, it's amazing, isn't it? It sort of spurs you
yeah,
on and creates more purpose.
definitely. And it's like you said, I had one the other day, and I was talking about, I mentioned mental health in it, because when I said Andy's man coming, his first comment was, no name, just name, no picture, and it was like, something like, oh, I'm sick of hearing about men's mental health. And
Mm,
honestly, just respond and say, listen, mate, if it ever comes a day where you need support because you're suffering, I hope that you don't go through things that people have gone through. Come back and read his comments. Anyway, they must have read it and they deleted his comments. So it just goes to
yeah,
show
yeah.
some people don't think.
No, no. And, like, I've had it before where people have commented on things on my YouTube and you just chat. You don't even, not even like in a confrontational way. Like for me, obviously it's engagement, so I'm commenting back. I'm trying to get them to have conversations
Yeah,
with me and sort of talk through. But I had one. I did a video. I read a book about toxic masculinity and that sort of stuff, and I did a review of the book on the podcast. And some guy came in and like just chopped me down. He was like bang, 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 this, that, and the other. And I was like, I appreciate what you're saying, but this is my opinion. This is my view of
yeah,
it.
yeah,
And to counter what you're saying, blah, blah, blah. And then by the end of it, his tonality had just changed so much. Even in message
yeah,
form, you could just see that
yeah,
sometimes, I mean, people just want to be heard, don't they?
yeah, exactly. I'm a crackling
So
at
you,
your end, Jack.
no, no, it's sound.
Right, okay, I just think, I can hear you just crackling, that's all, man.
Yeah, no worries. Well, I'm
I'm
sure
looking
will.
at
Yeah, no, it's sound. Obviously, there's a bit where I think people will appreciate that you're in the middle of New Delhi in an hostel,
yeah,
so there might be a little bit of background noise. So something I want to touch on, obviously, before we wrap up and things like that, is even the support you've had from Andy's Man Club whilst you've not been there, and if you don't mind talking about that, just because obviously people might just think that the support comes from the group itself, but you've touched there that even while you've been, across Europe, in Asia, you still managed to get into, the support group of this brilliant organisation.
Yeah, so Andy's Man Club basically, if you've ever seen a post where I'm feeling down or I'm not recording, there'll be lads, and like there was a 2 week gap here with visa issues. They've been in contact all the way through the journey saying like, if you need help, they're on speed dial on the phone if I need them. And they'll just get a message, hey Chris, are you okay? Checking in on me. Just basically just generally every day looking out for you, you know what I mean?
Mm,
If you see where I'm obsessed and I'm uploading a video, they'll all comment on it, you know what I mean? And on my main profile picture on my Facebook, I don't know if you've ever seen it. The
yeah,
day
yeah.
I nearly give up, they all took a picture like this, and to wake up to that, it caused tears run down the eyes. It was an amazing thing, and it's good that I'm 8,000 kilometres away, but yeah, there's still support there for Mandy's Man Club. And there's members as well, not just the facilitators. I speak to them every day. They always say, listen, if you need any help or you want to talk to us, these lads are like me. They go, they're not run the place or they're not facilitators. And if you want to chat, let's have a one-on-one, Matt. You know what I mean? And then
Mm,
it works like that with people follow them if they want to speak and they don't want to go to Andy's Man Club and they want any advice, just, you know. But I'm not a doctor, so I don't give them that kind of advice. But I mean,
yeah, yeah.
they want to talk about uh, day-to-day things and get it off the chest and speak to them, you know what I mean? And it is
Sometimes
good
it's just
like
good
that.
for air it out, isn't it? It's very cathartic
Yeah,
just for chat to your mate. Sometimes you don't always want like doctor or psychological evaluation. You just want to get shit off
yeah,
your chest and forget about it. You don't want to be like
yeah,
psychoanalyzed about everything you're saying. And it sounds brilliant, mate. I think community is such an important aspect for people to find, you know, like purpose, enjoyment. I think this is why you see things like high rocks gyms and CrossFit gyms and sporting teams. They become so ingrained into people's personas and personalities, they almost start to identify within them things. But it's because of the community aspects there. They find like-minded people, they feel safe, and I imagine that's what Andy's Man Club provides. It's a
yeah.
safe environment where you can feel you can grow. Yeah,
It's
lovely.
an amazing club, and it's just there's more and more people going every day. newcomers, people reattending, and there's more clubs opening up all the way across the country. Well, sorry, all over Britain. So
Yeah.
it's obviously working and it's proven by numbers growing all the time.
Yeah, it's brilliant, mate. And obviously, what you're doing is promoting it massively as well. So before we wrap up, what I normally do on the podcast is I normally ask people about sort of habits that they do and what they'd recommend to people. So I'm thinking with, oh, can you hear us? One sec. Oh, is that any better?
It's not your end. Let me just leave, mate, and come back in. Is that all right?
Yeah, no worries. Hello.
Yeah, that's better. A lot. It was crackling like
Perfect.
man. I couldn't even hear. Yeah, good.
Yeah, no worries. So what I normally ask people is when they're on the podcast before we wrap up is sort of habits that they have and what they'd recommend to people. So I think for you, I think it'd be really interesting to see what habits you've developed whilst you've been away and any that you'd recommend to just the everyday person.
Okay, so one habit I picked up on is because many people do not understand me with them having a thick northern accent from Wigan.
Mm.
If we go 200 miles south, mate, they can't understand us. So
No,
over
no.
here, I've slowed down my speech, and I now speak like this to people so they can understand. So it's probably meant to come across on this podcast, but like when I'm in my family and I'm doing the videos and uploading, and then I'm listening, I'm like, why am I speaking like this? I'm going to speak normal. And my friends will be
Yeah.
saying, they'll be saying, why are you speaking to me like this? I am not a foreigner. Yeah, things like that. But then also different habits, how much I've come out my skin a lot more, and I
Yeah.
can never imagine me going back to.
Mm.
A massive change, not bothering. I obviously don't want to stay in flea-ridden places. Like one place that I checked into and I had to check out because there was bed bugs there. They didn't want to know.
Yeah.
But then, but they are, look at people for face value with you, not what they are. If go
Remove the
to someone,
materialism.
yeah, come here and look, enjoy the different cultures, enjoy the different people, enjoy the different lifestyles. And you learn a lot from other people, and you look at people here and you think, wow, it's all lucky to be where you're from. But these people here, they're happy because they don't, if the kids running about the streets, a couple of rags and unbuttoned, they don't know any different, so they're happy. You've got to look at life how from their point of view, not your own, and saying, oh God, we're so lucky back in England because we've got this, we've got that. These kids
Yeah.
these adults don't know any different, you know what I mean? And they're living
Yeah.
the
They have
best
no
life
concept
here.
of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love
and
that. And
they're living
sort
the
of
best life.
And it's really nice to hear that you're experiencing that, and then the sort of things you can bring back to when you go to your groups and come back to England and explain it. Hopefully you can and when people listen to you, it can provide some real insight to the world just outside of our own sort of four walls that we put ourselves in. So I normally ask people what habit they wish they could do, but I thought I'd ask you something a little bit different. Why your situation is a bit different. I wanted to know what's the one thing you can't wait for when you get back home. What's the one thing you're missing?
So it's great. So I meat to potato pie.
Where from? That's the big question. Where from? Which one are you going for?
Meat potato pie from Galloway for me, or Muffin Man.
Galloway's.
Galloway
Beautiful.
for me.
Yeah. It used to be Dawson's till they ruined it, but
Well, I don't know. It's just a thing about finger. Get a Galloway pie. I also
well,
miss
so we lost Chris. He's fallen over here in Delhi. He just messaging me now. We'll see. We got a good hour. He was obviously finishing up telling us what he'd missed. Being a good Wiganer, he said he wanted a meat and potato pie, so that's class. But yeah, what I'll do now is I'll just wrap this up. And I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got a lot from what Chris was talking about, his journey, which is brilliant. I think it's an amazing thing. And I'm going to link all of his pages and where you can donate, where you can buy him a coffee on his travels, all in the link below, description below. I'll tag his pages. Please follow him. Please check him out. Just even a share of his page can be a massive help promoting Andy's Man Club. Put my teeth in, and listen to Chris's journey and the impact that it's had on him and everything it's done. I think it could be beneficial for all men, and it's definitely something that we should be promoting. And Chris's journey as well. What an absolute mammoth task he's undergone, and the change and the skill set in which he's learned is so inspiring. I have the feeling emotional talking to him and his journey and how well he's done. So please check him out. Please drop him a follow. Check out Andy's Man Club, and yeah, I'll see you for the next one. Sorry we had some technical issues on that, but fair play to Chris. He did that off his phone in the middle of the day in Delhi, red hot, middle of an hostel. So the fact that we got something was beautiful, and we'll be getting him on when he's back. So peace.